And welcome back to GoldSeek TV. I'm here with the CEO, founder, and director of BP Silver Corporation, Tim Shearcroft. Thank you for coming back and giving us an update today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Peter.
I was looking forward to speaking with you after the second phase of the drill campaign ended, but there's been more news out of the company, quite interesting and exciting, including the addition of a second drill rig to the project to move things along with some really good results from looks like rock chip channel sampling and some other old mine works that you looked at. So I wanted to understand what's going on. Sounds like more positive news for the company. So if we could kick off and first talk about what exactly you got back from the different sampling that you just finished sharing with the public here.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Well, firstly, I mean, we've mobilized the second rig in order to help speed things up. It's certainly a more challenging time of the year, the particular season our project's in right now. So having that second machine is going to help move things faster and also allow us to have both machines in different areas on the project. So we're currently drilling at Pocanita Chica, and then the second machine is drilling at the Halsiri sector where we just released a news release for channel samples. Now those results came back, very good. I'll maybe show a little slide here.
That'd be great.
Okay, so there's a little slide here. I'll use my so just so if you can see where the red pointer is, it's all in this house area where we've taken these samples. Now those, if you can recall from a previous news release back in May, we released this map here. So there's 2,100 meters of outcropping veins and structures. So that's quite significant. In total, that was 2,100 meters of outcropping or inferred vein and structure length in this area. And this is 3 of only 10 targets. So we received those samples and released them last week, and 85% of those samples were mineralized. We had a high of 935 grams per ton silver, 1.51 grams per ton gold. I think it was 5.65% zinc and 3.16% lead. But what's very obvious here, Peter, is the widespread mineralization throughout this area. And as Stuart was quoted saying, there is potential for shallow open pit mining. We're seeing a lot of disseminated mineralization in between these structures. And then there's also the potential for drilling, much deeper and finding that vein system below the lithocap. We won't be drilling that in this phase 2. Phase 2 is going to be more shallow drill holes. And when I mean shallow, 150 meters, 100 to 150 meters, we have 20 to 24 holes planned. But there's a potential, if we're in mineralization, that will continue to drill deeper until we come out of that structure and we go into fresh rock. The geology on this property is that you'll have these massive structures that are potentially mineralized veins or hydrothermal breccias, and then you drill through them and then out of them, and you'll get clusters of them, and you want to see if there's also potential mineralization in between the structures as well. So as we learn more about the property, we'll start to uncover that. But just a reference on this was also in the news release again, just showing you the amount of sampling here, a lot of zinc in this area, almost everywhere. I mean, and these are mostly the samples that were over 1%, but a very high percentage of mineralization. Here you have, samples with high grades of lead, silver, gold, throughout the property. And this is, this is a fairly extensive area again, right? This House Area Northeast, this is a kilometer along
Mm.
strike. You have areas inside here, House Area North, where we're seeing a lot more disseminated mineralization. That's a 200 meters by 400 meters in size. So something like that, if we can start to show mineralization in between and higher grade in the structures, you could put together something very exciting. But all of this surface mineralization, again, it's showing us that this property has a lot of potential, and we'll see that as drill results come in.
And the uh, I guess the objective of phase two is to continue to see if the near surface mineralization does continue to exist steadily through the lithocap, and to see if it is amenable to potentially the future open pit kind of a mine.
Yeah, yeah, of course. I mean, there's right now, there's a big prize at depth, and there's also a big prize at surface, and it's a big property. It's a 3.5 kilometer long system, a lot of targets, and we need to take the time to understand that, start showing the continuity of mineralization in all of these structures, in between the structures, and from target to target, and just making sure that the system is holding it together. And we'll systematically, as we go through the exploration, we'll start to drill deeper and deeper, and hopefully we can find something in the basement rocks, as Stuart references it, and that's a different type of probably sedimentary rocks below the volcanic rocks that we're currently drilling into, that would host narrower high grade veins that would be similar to Pulicayo. And again, Pulicayo, I always reference that in some of our conversations, and certainly in the presentations. Pulicayo is located 10 kilometers south of us, and the veins below the lithocap there hosted over 600 million ounces. And one vein in particular, the Tahoe vein, was almost a kilometer deep. So when you get below this lithocap and you can get into some of these veins, they could be very substantial. And now this isn't a guarantee, but having a lot of this type of mineralization and these large structures on surface holding that mineralization and the dissemination in between, that gives us a lot of confidence that it's somewhere underneath the system, because there's certainly something driving all of this. It's very impressive, and again, it's very rare. As I've said many times, most of these lithocaps are barren. So to have this type of widespread mineralization, and much of it economic grade, as you can see, is a very good thing.
And how are the surface samples looking at the House Surrey targets versus like Pocanita or some of the other targets? Are the structures, are you seeing a lot different kind of rock types, or?
Well, this is yeah, some of the rock is similar, carries different types of mineralization. Some areas have more tin or antimony, bismuth, other pathfinder minerals. But in general, from what we can see on surface and historic samples, it's all fairly well mineralized and similar to what we're seeing in House Surrey. Now, this was our first batch of assays. It took a very long time to get these back. We do have a second batch of assays coming back, and that's going to be from this year's channel samples across Pocanita, Chica. There's going to be some channel samples from Pocanita Grande, which is viewed as our number one target right now. Some of those samples are from the northeast side at a lower elevation, and we're working on building roads to get to a higher elevation, so that we can take more samples and do more mapping of Pocanita Grande, which we think is the best target. It just takes time to build these roads, and takes time to drill.
Okay.
We're at 4,750 meters at Pocanita Chica and Pocanita Grande is like 5,000 meters. It's a winter season for them right now, and it's cold, and the rock is very hard, and things just take time. So when you're building these roads, it I can't stress that it does take time, but we are making progress. I'll show a little bit of some pictures here
Oh,
in a
yeah.
moment.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
that's
that'd be kind of good to see the kind of, yeah, the visualization of it in the geography. Oh, okay. Yeah.
so here's a couple of pictures. So this is now we're shifting away from House Surrey, right, where we had all of those high grade samples. So we'll be releasing when we get that back the second batch of samples covering a lot of this area here. I mean, we're looking to try to get about 1,000 samples this season on surface. And these linear channel samples, I mean, they're not chip grab samples, so they give us a very good understanding of what's actually there. And in a sense, they're like a horizontal drill hole, and those help certainly guide drilling, as will mag and geophysics. But here's a a more recent photo, but you can see the amount of size these peaks are. Now where we're drilling, right where my cursor is, this is where we have a drill rig here, and we've drilled down around these areas here, where he's labeled them as silicified breccia structures. We know some of those structures are well mineralized from the drill bit, as we saw in phase one. We're seeing very similar rocks from mapping and what we've sampled. So we're waiting for those results to come by and come back. And then when we look at Pocanita Grande, it's just that much bigger, and some of the structures that are outcropping are absolutely massive. And Grande is viewed as the center of the system. Most of what we've drilled in phase one has been on the peripheral, all part of the system, all carrying good rocks, but this could be the core. And the core where the highest temperature fluids travel to and potentially deposited the highest grades of minerals. And perhaps maybe directly below Grande, going down 400, 500 meters, maybe we find that that vein system similar to Pulicayo. But we've used some sort of these reference points of like the Eiffel Tower and whatnot, just to show the sheer size. It's huge, Peter, here. And I mean, if this can have economic mineralization in really in any one of these areas, it can be a mine. Of course, if all of these targets come together in one, fantastic 3.5 kilometer long system, it's going to be tier one. But any of these targets, I think, in a junior company would be a project in its own right. So this just helps you understand the scale of it. Now, we've been building roads everywhere along here. There's just another picture, a little bit closer view. I hope everybody can see that well. But some of
Yeah,
these structures you're seeing, like right here, this is going to be very, very significant. And we're building roads all the way up to the top there, and then we'll be able to. It's quite steep, so having the roads, it makes it easier to map and get on these structures and take good samples. We have some samples from a little bit lower down here. It's still part of Grande, but we'd like to be able to get more sampling up here and build the roads. And you can see, if you can just follow that up here, we are getting near the top, and once we're there, we're going to have a lot more options to do various exploration. And I think even in phase two, there's a real potential that we could drill a couple of shallow holes, potentially into these structures, not having to wait till to phase three. But I'll have to talk more with the team and the board about that. But we've had some light discussions on it, and because the rocks that we're seeing are very similar to what we've drilled in over it. Pocanita Chica. We think it's a good risk to take to drill that.
Yeah, the visualizations really gives you appreciation of what you're building here. The road access is not, it takes some work and effort. So yeah, potential for phase two, a couple drill holes or something going on there. That would be excellent. But the main focus would be to get it prepared then for phase three drilling. Sounds like, and that'll
Yeah.
be the once you have better indications, I guess, from the sampling and other stuff to work on. But um, yeah,
Yeah, it's all getting there slowly but surely. Here's just another little photo of this is Pocanita Chica. I can play this video if it works here. Just kind of give your audience a little idea of the size. There's a couple of rig setups here on Pocanita Chica. I mean, looking down there from where you see that last peak where my cursor is, I mean, it's almost a kilometer, and we're drilling into these structures, and you can see some of these structures outcropping, and we know some of these are mineralized. We've achieved that in phase one drilling, so it's quite impressive. It's
juicy
another,
targets. Okay, yeah, that's
yeah, there's another quick photo of one of our drill pad setups here. Yeah, it's drilling's moving along slowly but surely.
and I imagine you have to have some adjustment time to the climate to be up this elevation. That's you have
Yeah,
some good
and
crews working there.
yeah, it looks like a sunny day, like you could be out there in shorts and t-shirt, but it's actually very cold, especially when you get to this elevation, and at nighttime it's very cold. The water's freezing. There's all sorts of challenges, but to go along with the rock being extremely hard, but that hard rock is that hydrothermal breccia, and oftentimes that hard rock is it's got a lot of sulfides in it, and hopefully some of that silver. And there's just another a little bit better view of Grande, and I mean all of this area was without road, so where my cursor is almost where that drill pad is a fairly recent video we just did, just to show the size of it. And then we've been cutting that road all the way up there, and you can see it's we're almost at the top. Maybe we'll be up there in another week and a half, and I'm really excited to drill test that. And I think that's going to be um, our drilling with best results.
Excellent. And
Just a little map here, but all the greens, what we've done for road, yellow's in progress, yellow's to be done. We're not too worried about Coconita West where there's a lot of red, but it's a ton of road that we've been working on. We have two excavators and a bulldozer up there working every day, so getting lots of stuff done.
no shortage of targets, it looks like.
Yeah, tons.
So the phase two drilling will come out. You have results. You're building the road to Pocanita Grande. You're going to have the phase three drilling following up pretty soon after that to follow up on these results, kind of help guide you then.
Yeah. I think phase two, will just end up, rolling into phase three. Obviously, for the deeper targets, we need to complete um, the geophysics, the IP,
Mhm.
and the mag, and we'll be giving the market some updates on where we stand with the mag and the IP shortly. But second batch assays for the channels should be coming out. Maybe another week or two. It's don't hold me to that. I mean, the labs are extremely
Yeah.
slow with getting back our results, and that's industry wide. We will be putting out a drilling update in the next couple weeks. So
Okay.
I mean, if we think the team is confident what we see on site, and perhaps that news release will have some core photos and some preliminary results. Something that we're able to do, we have an XRF gun, so we're able to take readings of the core, and it can show us the silver content, zinc, lead, gold. I mean, there's a margin of error. These things are fairly accurate. There's, you take a statistical approach when you do them. You have to, use the XRF gun in multiple places, and you take an average of what that is. And I mean, it's certainly not a guarantee, but it give you an indication on what type of rock you're in. So, if the team feels comfortable that we can do that, then perhaps the shareholders can look forward to seeing a few core photos and some indication of what assays, might be when they come back from the lab.
That's exciting. We've gone from less than a year, the company going public here into a successful phase one, now phase two underway, and preparing into phase three. So it's a lot going on in a short period of time. Obviously, a lot of potential. We'll see how that materializes or not, but
Yeah.
a lot of good indications. So that sounds positive at this point.
Yeah. Again, we have a very strong team. Great board. Everybody's involved. Everybody's helping move this thing along. People have to understand. Just takes time. You have to have patience. It's Bolivia, and some things take longer than they do elsewhere. But we are moving everything forward. The goals that we set, they'll be achieved, and I think shareholders can look forward to some positive results as we've seen so far to date.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Tim. Is there anything else you'd like to share? Or...
No, I think that's good. Once
Excellent.
we have another update, maybe we'll get on for maybe a short update on that news release as well.
Oh, I'd love to. You're my favorite exploration silver company at this point. So always looking forward to the updates, and I appreciate your time and giving us more insights because it's very helpful, and especially looking at those visualizations. I mean, I've been following this for a year and had, I've seen some photos, but this really is helpful to really understand the size, the scope, and what's being accomplished right now. So thank you for that, and yeah, looking forward to the next update.
Sounds good. Well, thank you, Peter. Thank you for your time, and thank you for being a shareholder.